Morning everybody, fantastic to see you all again. So as you can see, it's dark, it's cold, and I am in a place I've never been before. And today what I want to do is I want to go back in time and think, what would I do differently if I was to do photography again? Well, the first thing is to explore more and not just keep going back to the same place. But I would go back to the same place as well, both of those things. But I'm exploring today. And I've never been here before, believe it or not. It's called High Dam. It's quite close to where I used to live, and it's a beautiful, foggy, frosty morning. Right, just need to get my things. Well, hopefully you can just about see me. It's pretty dark, and I've got my head torch on the camera. But yeah, there's a dam up here. It's like a tarn that's been dammed, and I think it's meant to be pretty good. I think I might have walked up when I was about 3, but I can't remember, obviously. But it's foggy everywhere, and I think there's some nice trees up here. I'm just hoping the fog stays as I go a bit higher. But that's half the excitement of coming to somewhere new, just not knowing what you're going to get. So I think I'm going to be above the cloud because the mist's just hanging down there, which is a shame. But I've got my drone, so I can always fly my drone over there and see. But yeah, this is part of the fun. You know, the obvious thing was to go down there. I'm going to do the completely other thing. You just never know what you're going to find. Maybe there'll be some fog at the tarn. I've got to the first little tarn, and I think there's a little bit of mist there. No mist anywhere else apart from down below. So this gets me to my second point really, which is just to get out earlier than you think and get out at either end of the day. So when I started photography, I mean, I've got a 2-week trip to Iceland, and I only took one sunset when I was there. This was about 25 years ago. And I'm not saying you shouldn't go out in the middle of the day, because that's the counter argument, is don't just go out at either end of the day, but explore all lights. And I just didn't do that enough in my early days. I didn't get out in the sunrise and sunset. I was a bit of a lazy photographer. But if I was to go back, I'd be doing more of this. Getting out when it's dark, hiking to the top of a hill. It really doesn't get better. Right, let's keep going. Oh, made it. That's quite nice actually. So I think what I'll try and do, there's a hill over there, and I think I might just go around there because there's no mist here at the moment. And I might see if I can get a shot down the valley where Lake Windermere is. Just gonna have a look at my OS map quickly. Yeah, so it's just that hill there. So I think I can just go around here and up onto that hill. Should be able to get there before sunrise. Right, let's do that. Oh, this might not work. Might be a big failure. So you could say that maybe I should have stayed in the fog, but even though I probably would have got a good shot there, I've got quite a lot of foggy shots, especially around this area. And if I keep doing the same thing, I'm not going to get anything special. So I wanted to try something a bit different. Now, I hoped for a little bit of hoarfrost, but there isn't a lot, and it's quite messy here. So by going a bit higher, I might be able to use my longer lens and pick something out. Anyway, that's the hope. Right, we've got a sort of path, I think. It's a bit cross country this. Just got to be a bit careful of my ankles, but as you can see, I'm getting a lot higher now. Oh, lovely silver birch here. Just there. So I'm going to sort of try and get to the highest point and see what I can see. Oh, it's quite flat around here. Oh, blimey, this is hard. This is my underfoot, so it's pretty tricky. Oh. It's quite steep as well, quite slippery. So it's quite flat up here. I think there might be a good view in that direction. So I'll have some nice clouds that I think are going to catch the light as well. So I think what I'm going to do is, if it was foggy here, it would be so spectacular, because these silver birch are really nice. But I'm going to head and try and get as high as I can over there. I've got 7 minutes till sunrise. 7? No, 10. Oh, 10. Plenty of time. Right, grab my camera, let's go. Oh, it's hard going on this underground. I feel like it's just going to be many false summits. I think it's quite, just looking at the contours, it's quite flat. But I just need to find something interesting. Maybe a tree, maybe some foreground, or maybe just something that I can use a 200mm on in the distance, which is the longest I've got today. This tree is quite nice here. And actually, background mountains, this is getting better. Let me show you. So, I'm going to put my bag down over here because I'm going to shoot this rock, I think. The sun's going to rise over there, getting some nice side light. And there's some nice view there. You can see the whole of Lake Windermere is in an inversion. I think I might just take my drone up and see if I can get something interesting here. But also there's a lone tree over there which looks quite good. So I think there's quite a few things here. Just explore and you find different things. It's fantastic. So one of the other things that I do differently is I learn about the weather probably before I started to understand all the really more complex technical details of my camera. Full auto on your cameras, probably, you know, an understanding manual on your camera is definitely less important than understanding the weather. You know, you can see when a day's like this, it's good to know, you know, am I going to be above the fog? Is there going to be a likelihood of a fog? Where's the sun going to rise? How's it going to hit the hills? All those things just make such a big difference to your photography. So, you know, study the weather. There's loads of articles on the internet on the weather. I'll link a video I did here with a guy called Tom, who's, you know, super good at the weather. But yeah, we've all got to be weather experts at landscape photography. Anyway, the sun has just risen, so I am going to now wait for it just to hit the side of this, and then hopefully I'm going to get a good shot in that direction. I think everything's lined up pretty well. It doesn't get better than this, does it? What an amazing morning. What a fantastic place to be. Oh, look at this. Unbelievable. The sun's come out and I'll just show you what I've got here because it looks pretty spectacular. So I have got I've got these rocks here. Now they're catching the light. I'll show you before and after with the light, but the light's catching here as well, so it sort of steps you through to this sort of tarn here and then to the mountains which are also catching the light. It looks so good. I'm really pleased with it. Everything's starting to come alive now. The colours are coming alive. It looks so good. So here you can see the massive difference that light makes on a scene. I'm not saying the one without light doesn't have merit, because I think it does, and in certain circumstances I think that blue hour can be amazing. Also, I've used a really wide angle lens here. There's not massive mountains in the background, so in hindsight maybe I should have zoomed in a little bit more, stood back a little bit more and compressed the image. It's amazing what the light does. You know, just a bit of light, the side light on this rock's so good. And because it's coming from the side, it just makes such a big difference. That's another thing that, if I was to start again, I'd experiment with light. Understanding light and understanding the impact it has on your landscape photos is just so important. You know, in woodland, I almost never shoot with the light behind me. I always shoot into the light if there is any light. You know, here I want some side light to model not just this rock here, but the mountains in the background. So understanding light's really important. I'll put another link here to a light video I've done in the past, or you can check out my masterclass where I talk about light in, you know, a lot more detail. But I think at the moment now I've got the shot, I'm going to walk over there. There's a lot of really nice compositions starting to show themselves as the light's starting to hit the land. This is so good. So I've just come across these silver birch down here that are just catching the side light and the fog in the background. There's also a dead tree here which looks really interesting. It's not in the sun though. I don't think that's going to matter, so I'm just going to walk a bit further down. Maybe take a shot from here, walk a bit further down and try and get those, because I think they're quite nice. They're quite nice. Oh, I love the crunchiness of this. It's just so nice to walk on. So this is a good point. Whoa, rock. This is a good point to talk about something else that is so important, and that is simplifying scenes. If I look back at my old photos, one thing that they all have in common is there's just always something that's distracting or overcomplicating the scene. So when I get a scene like this, which is quite complicated, there may be a broader shot, maybe a panoramic or something, but what I try and do is hone in on just a bunch of trees or a single tree and try and find something interesting. So the tree right in the distance that's sticking up is quite nice. This tree to the right hand side here that's quite a bit closer, that might be good if I can isolate it a little bit. So, and then the mountains in the background behind that are good, so maybe I'm going to go around here and shoot to that tree. But just trying to, you know, this scene's beautiful, it really is, but you've just got to try and simplify it a little bit. And gosh, how many years did I not that didn't click in my head, and when it did, the photography got better. Yay! So speaking of keeping things simple, look at these sheep here. They're just walking just in front of these trees, and I think there's just like a really nice shot to be had. So I'm just going to grab it now. Got my 200mm one, my 24-200, which is the only lens I brought with me, just to keep it simple. So, but yeah, this is looking good. I think this is going to be a really nice little shot. Got the mountains in the background. They've got a little bit of cloud on them. Just being out. I wouldn't have got those if I hadn't have been out. God, there's so much to shoot here. This is so beautiful. I'm just so happy. Well, I think I might have found something, which is quite exciting. I'll just show you what I've got here. So I have got this tree here. So I've got this scene here. Just move that down a little bit. So yeah, I've got this scene here, and in this scene, I think what's quite good is this tree balances these trees here. I don't really like that those trees go into the sky. The sky's a bit boring as well, but I feel like there's quite a lot of depth because these trees bring you in. You hit these and bounce back to this, so there's sort of a nice sort of route through, if you would. So I quite like that. I think that's worked pretty well. I don't think I need to focus stack it. I've got a bit of an exposure bracket because the silver birch is always a bit dodgy. And I really like the white in the valley here as well of the frost. I think it just looks really nice. So I think this could be quite good. Maybe it would have been better a little bit earlier. I'm probably about an hour and a half after sunrise now. But yeah, looks pretty good. Got my camera pointing down, and I just want to say that experimenting is so important when it comes to photography. This might not work. It's a log with some frosty leaves on it, but you've got to experiment. You've got to try new things. You've got to just see what might happen, and then you might find that you have a love for, you know, still life and like really close up macro type stuff. So what I do when I start photography is don't just restrict yourself to one genre, you know, just landscape photography or just a part of landscape photography. You know, you might just do that after a while, but try lots of different things, experiment, and And yeah, you just find something that might just click. Another thing that I did early on was I got my technical skills really good, and I think that's really important. Yeah, you do need to understand your camera, but I think I focus more on technical skills and less on creativity, and I think you need to switch those around. I think, especially if you're like me, where you're not naturally gifted at seeing something, you had to learn it. I think I should have concentrated on learning composition, learning to try and be more creative, just try different things, rather than concentrate too much on thinking that if I just know everything about the camera, then I'm going to be a really good photographer. I think that's a lot of people that do that. I've seen it so many times before. I certainly did it. I'd recommend that you just try and do some creative things. So there's loads of channels like mine that talk about creativity, talk about composition. I've got a masterclass all about composition, a link in the description, but and an ebook as well. But just looking around, just observing, looking how the light looks at things, try and simplify things, trying different things, failing a lot. And then not to worrying too much if it's in focus or if it's not in focus, but does it look good? Have you got the things composed right? Is it creatively good? The other thing that happens when you do that early on, I think, is that you start to develop a style. And there's lots of people with styles, my friend James, Mass, a good seascapes photographer called Rachel Talabart, Mott Robbins, who's one of my favourite woodland photographers. So many people have styles. I think I've got a little bit of a painterly style to my photography as well, but it took a while to get to that. I think I got to that in the latter part of my photography, whereas I could have done that earlier. Right, I'm going to drink this and have my super amazing Christmas cake that my mum's cooked. Cooked. Do you cook a Christmas cake? Answer in the comments. I'm not sure how you make a Christmas cake. You might just sort of... Yeah, you probably cook it. I think you do cook it. I'm not very good at cooking, as you can obviously see. Right, I think I've got something half decent here. So I like this tree here. I've got this, come to this sort of valley, I suppose. So many trees have been chopped down, but this one's still going. And this could be very, very good, I reckon, if there was a bit of mist up here, or maybe in the spring or autumn. But anyway, you can see right in the distance that tree right at the very back there, and obviously we've got the sky, which isn't great. A lot of this is probably going to be thought for other times to come back here, but what I can do when I've taken this photo is I can get critique. I can ask people what they think of it, and that might be your husband, your wife, your kids, or another photographer you go out with, or you might just ask for people on a Facebook group. Like in my masterclass, we have a Facebook group, and we always people always critique each other's photos on there if people ask for that, and I think that's so useful. I wish I'd done that earlier. Just ask for critique, and I don't mean go and enter competitions, because I feel like competitions don't give you a really great critique. Even camera competitions, they tend to be very similar in the judging criteria. I think it's better just to get opinions of lots of different people, and then from those opinions try and formulate what you think. If they all say the same thing, then that's pretty obvious that that's not going to be working if it's distracting. So yeah, just seek out critique. I guarantee it'll make a difference to your photography. I wish I'd done that earlier. So I've come across these beautiful hoarfrost on these bits of branches here, and I've tried for so long to try and get a photo thinking there must be a photo here, but I can't find one. I wish I'd known that as well, because there's so many times when I've been with other professional photographers and we've all struggled. It looks beautiful like this, but we've struggled to get a photo. Sometimes it just isn't a really good photo, even though it looks beautiful. And it's so satisfying when you're with somebody else and they go, well, I can't find a shot either. And I think that there's a little bit of a light bulb moment when people come on workshops, because they see me struggle or Mass struggle, and you know, it's then that you realise that there's not always a shot to be had, even though it looks fantastic. So don't beat yourself up too much. Just admire it, just take it in and just move on. I'm back in the trees now. Oh, I've just been traipsing across so much bog. I think these leather shoes have kept dry though. So anyway, I'm going to head back down to the tarn. It's nearly like 20 to 11, which is crazy. Anyway, I'm going to head back down to the tarn and see. My video from last week has just gone live. This is Sunday from a week ago, which is a Lightroom video. Go and check it out. It's not had many views, which is strange, because I thought this would be a really popular one. It's all about masks and how I use masks. And I think creativity in Lightroom and post-processing is so important. Again, something I wish I'd concentrated on more. When I first started photography there, I did it in the darkroom, and I actually did spend quite a lot of time. But then when I moved to Lightroom and digital stuff, I probably didn't do as much processing digitally as I did in the darkroom, which seems completely daft, doesn't it? But anyway, yeah, go and check out last week's video. I'll put a link here. And I'm going to keep going, see what we can find. It's a bit harsh now. Well, I'm back at the tarn. It's actually frozen there. I don't think that gets the sun very much. I quite like just the abstract nature of this sort of tree here. The obvious shot is just a reflection, but I don't actually think that's going to make a fantastic shot. Maybe where the edge of the ice is might look quite nice, but I quite like this. So I'm maybe just going to do some sort of abstract close-up of this. Try that. Other thing I wish I knew earlier, it's a bit of a technical thing this. Well, it's not that technical, but it's just stop putting your camera on your tripod as soon as you get somewhere. Handhold it, sort of walk around, just have a look at the scene around you. You know, you might see some trunks like this, it would be pretty good. And then, you know, over here, there's some really nice reflections in this water over here. So that might be a really nice thing to do. But by hand holding your shot, it just gives you a lot more flexibility. And, you know, if you do walk around, you might want to think, okay, well, this is the right height on here. I might want to go lower or higher, left or right. It makes such a big difference, and I wish I'd known about this earlier. So give it a try, hand hold your shot, and I'm sure it'll improve your photography. Right, let's get back down. So I'm back in my studio now. That was a fantastic morning, and I hope you liked some of those ideas that I shared, things that I might do a little bit differently if I started photography again. One thing I wouldn't do differently is I would continue to print. Printing has been something that, if you've watched my channel for any time, you know I'm super passionate about. I started off black and white printing in the dark room. That's what really ignited my passion for photography. And I just love printing. This is a photo that I printed when I was shooting down into this amazing sort of textures, I suppose, of the ground frost here. I love this so much. And it jumps off the page printed. This is on PhotoSpeed NST bright white paper. A lot of people don't have a printer, but that doesn't mean that you can't print. I think seeing your things in print is what is important. Which brings me to this week's sponsor, and stick with me because I want to show you this book. This is a book that I've made, which is my 2023 favourite photos, and this was done in conjunction with Sol Digital. I used Sol Digital to print this book, and I love their books because they lay flat. So you can see here, I can just open this up, lay it flat, and it just looks absolutely fantastic. And just doing a book of your photos, whether it's a project, whether it's just last year's book, which is a perfect time to do it now, your favourite photos from the previous year,
it's such a good idea because I guarantee you'll get more enjoyment out of your photos when you see them in print than you do seeing them on the screen. There's something that's sort of that tactile nature which just makes it jump out of the page. Sol Digital do all sorts of different books. This is the lay flat book, the professional line on silk paper, which is sort of a semi-gloss paper. And they also do it on matte, which I really like. And if you really like glossy, the glossy looks good as well. So I definitely have a look at Sol Digital. There's a link for 50% off your book in the description below. So if you want to get a book like this, you get 50% off at the moment with a link in the description below. So definitely check that out. I've also got a spare one of these. So I printed 2 of these. This is the acrylic cover as well with one of my favorite photos, probably my favorite drone photo I've taken in a long time here. You can just see it of this incredible waterfall off the end of this ice. And I'm going to give away this book. I've got 2 of them. I'm going to keep one myself and I'm going to give one away. And if you want to win this book, then all you need to do is in the comments below, you need to suggest an idea for a future video. And the idea that gets the most upvotes, so the top idea basically, after a week, I'll get in contact with you and I'll send out this book. Now, you'll know it's me because there's a tick next to a name. Do not listen to anybody else that says you've won a competition. The only way you'll hear from me is if I find you on Instagram and I message you on Instagram, or I leave a comment against your comment to say contact me, and there's a tick next to my name. But yeah, you can win this book. You just need to suggest an idea for a future video, and the top idea voted by everybody else, I'll send this book to. That's it for this week. Next week, I'm still in the Lake District and I'm just preparing actually to go to Scotland. I'm going to tour around a little bit, probably go to Torridon, maybe even the Cairngorms in Scotland. It's going to be super cold there next week, so I'm so excited. I'm going to do as many videos as I can exploring in nature and taking photos, the thing that I loves to me. Hopefully you'll see less studio videos from now on. They're mostly going to be on location until I start doing my camper van series, which you'll see a few back at home doing my camper van conversion. That's it. Thanks ever so much for watching. Until next Sunday, bye.